Um, the last time we spoke was Wayne's EFC 82. You were explaining to me the ins and outs of how you had to restructure the business for the EFC, going from paid TV to free-to-air TV and all the reach through Africa. So talk us through where you are now. I mean, it wasn't all that long ago, but it's obviously there's been a progression, like new TV broadcasting deals and so on.
Yeah, so I mean, to recap it, the last 10 years of our business has been not the same, but similar, where we've had a big exclusive deal with a African network, and it's either SuperSport or Kwese, and where they pay us a rights fee, but then they get exclusive rights for their broadcast content. At the beginning of this year, that changed. We now have a distribution deal with SuperSport on pay TV, but we have free-to-air TV rights as well, which we've gone and done deals with the biggest free-to-air channels across Africa. And it's been good. It's a lot of work to get them done. Obviously, each network, where we used to just do one TV deal for Africa, now we're doing 40. So it's a lot more time consuming, and a lot of obviously contracts and the management of that and delivering. We deliver weekly content to every single one of these broadcasters, and there's different languages and so it's been going really well. The rollout's gone well. We've signed up. We've been hitting our targets of what we wanted to. And the feedback from on the ground, from the actual stations themselves, has been perfect, really good. So I was literally with the guys from SCV in Ghana yesterday, and they were telling me, the content's shooting the lights out, they're getting unbelievable feedback on it. They're going to be putting more of it on there. They want to push it onto the other channel as well. So we get the same feedback from all of our partners across Africa. So the content the plan is working. What we have is right. It's we know it's relevant to the African market, and now it's being proven that literally on a weekly basis, which is awesome.
Okay. With this far reach from southern to northern points of the African continent, that you guys are now slowly starting to get the EFC's content in almost every household in Africa, what does that mean for MMA in Africa, and specifically more for the EFC going forward?
There's no quicker way to build the sport than to do that. So someone asked me, what does EFC do to grow the sport in Africa? We're putting MMA on TV in front of everyone. UFC is amazing, it's an amazing product, but it's exclusive on SuperSport, which has got now 17 million decoders across the whole continent. Awesome, but that's not going to get the whole of Africa watching MMA. So we're putting it on TV. We're making EFC is basically going to be available to every single person living in Africa. Is going to be able to watch the EFC on television every single week, which attracts new people to the sport. You're going to get new fans watching it. You're going to get new people wanting to participate. They're going to watch it and go, I can do that, or that looks interesting, or following it. So we believe we're doing more from a growth of a sport than any other sport property has done before. We don't know any other sport property that does this. If you look at rugby, they've got exclusive deals. You look at cricket, they've got exclusive deals. You look at soccer, Premier League, everything. There's no one doing what we're doing, giving out a premium sport platform, premium sport product for free to all of these networks. So we're really excited about it. It's working. We're getting that audience. And yeah, from a growing the sport point of view, I just think it's going to properly explode. The next year, a lot of these networks are only coming online now, so it's been, we do a deal with a network, but they've got their schedules planned for 4 months or how many quarters ahead. So we're doing deals now that are coming online in February and all that type of stuff. But 2020 will be online. We'll have literally 200 million Africans will be watching EFC on television every year, and that's a conservative number.
Yeah, geez, that's a hell of a number. So obviously, in the past couple of weeks, there's been a lot of back and forth between EFC and MMASA. One of the things that was coming out there was, let's say, an attack from Mr. Couture about grassroots level input, broadcasting, all new broadcasting partners, but no money is what they're kind of saying. So I think you've kind of answered the effect that you guys have created by doing what no sport has ever done. So how else would you answer to that?
Grassroots. There's no bigger grassroots development than getting people exposed to the sport. I can go and give some money towards an amateur show, which 50 people go watch. That's not. In reality, that's very limited grassroots development. What we're doing, putting it on television in Uganda every week, having Ugandans watching MMA for the first time in their lives. That's grassroots development in Uganda, and we're doing that across Africa. So, and we're doing that at our own cost. We're investing to do that. So we're spending a hell of a lot of money in order to do this. We've increased our costs in order to do this, and we've turned off our biggest revenue. So to say we're not investing in growing the sport is pretty much completely incorrect, to put it lightly. Uneducated, maybe.
So with that in mind, like obviously this whole MMA saga has been an interesting one. The way they chose to hit out on social media and kind of just like open this kind of Pandora's box. Where I'd like to just have a chat about is how did the association between EFC and MMA SA came about? From what I understand, EFC sought this out the same way you guys sought out testing crusades that you didn't really have to do, but you took a decision to make the sport as legitimate as possible, and now this kind of reaction. So just talk us through briefly how that initial relationship came about.
So historically, we can go back 10 years when we started EFC. There was another MMA association, can't even remember the name, whatever it was, and we went to an association meeting and we weren't happy with what the association was putting forward. Back then it was many promoters, EFC, we were the new guys on the block, and they said, we must all agree to not pay fighters more than 5,000 rand. We're going to price fix, we'll decide who gets events on what dates. And we literally stood up in the meeting, we said, this is literally collusion, we're having no part of this, we don't want to, this is how you guys want to work together, we're literally not working with any of you. We walked out the room and we went on our own. Then after that, I think Sapmac was around, which was the guy from Shito Party came along, and he was under MMASA or somewhere under SASCOC. And I remember Sport and Recreation sending us an email saying, you need to fall under this guy, he must sanction your events. And we've said, okay, well, we don't know who this person is, let's go see him sanction an event. And we went and looked at one of the events that they sanctioned, and it was a dog show, it was an abortion. And people were fighting, they had a car crash on the way there and concussed them, and they let them fight. And we just said, we don't want any association with that. And Sport and Recreation sent like similar to the type of letters you see now, you have to be part of this association, this is the governing body, blah, 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 which our legal department came back and said, please show us the piece of legislation. They said, the minister says you must work with this guy. I said, please show us, with all due respect, please show us a law that says we need to listen to the minister, because it means nothing. So whatever, I don't care who he says. And that was that. So then Sapmac disappeared, because we went at that time, we then worked with Pro MMA, Marius Lotta started, I think it was called Proma. Came with the association. At the time they were the best, offering the best officials and the best people that were available, so we worked with them, and that went on for a couple of years. And then Marius seemed to go off the rails as well. It seems to be a trend where someone gets in the hot seat for a bit too long and then their head gets a little bit too big. I don't know what's going on, but anyway, similar story of Marius, and people complaining and financial issues with that one. And again, same story, we left that association, and we're on our own for a while after that. We got self-sanctioned, self-regulated, and hired the best officials, as we always do, and put the best events together and did the best health and safety. And then we formed MMA SA Pro. We set it up, we literally hired someone full-time to run it. We computer for them, a telephone, put them in our office, we got them and we said, cool, this is going to coordinate it, this is going to arrange licensing, this is put a board together, with all the industry professionals, and we funded that and got that going. And after a couple of years of doing that, the guys from MMA SA, Raymond and literally please had a meeting and said, please join our association, we really want to put it together, put pro and amateur together, we're better for the sport, we can all work together. We said, okay, we're not trying to work against them, so if some of the stuff that we do, our safety standards are so much higher than what they're doing, if we can hopefully filter down and let that make it better, and they can start, we can teach them effectively. We're teaching what they should be doing and show them how they should be doing it. And if that can improve amateur MMA as well, awesome. So we said, well, let's give it a try. So we put the two together and we became part of MMA SA. I think it was a couple of years back. Yeah, and it's been working kind of fine. We focus on what we're doing, and we let them run what they're doing up until very recently, basically. But yeah, and sorry, yeah, from the drug testing point of view, that's an example. Like when we were self-sanctioning, we wanted drug testing. SAIDs could only work for things that are under SASCOC, so we got an independent company, Drug Detection International. We paid for them to come and do the drug testing. It wasn't ideal because they're sending me the results, and I'm the guy who, you know, we've got to decide who's getting what ban. Like it's not the perfect situation. It's better than no drug testing, so we had to, you know, so that was the only option we had. But we were very happy when we went under MMASA. We then lobbied SAIDs hard to get them to come and sanction us or oversee us basically, and we became the first MMA organisation in the world to be underwater. So, and literally then UFC was the second, and there's still only the two of us as far as I know globally. So stuff like that is awesome, and that's the type of thing we do. You know, we look at the safety stuff that we do with EFC, and people go, oh, the sanctioning MMASA. MMASA they don't tell us, they haven't improved one thing in our show. They haven't said, oh, you must do brain scans. No, they just say do hepatitis and an HIV and have a doctor there to sign people off on the, you know, before your fight. Like, we've tried to follow the Nevada Clear State Commission. We look, you know, they've got the most money, they've been doing it the longest. So we implement the pre-fight MRI and MRI brain scans. We've now got the hydration testing. You know, we try to do all of that's implemented by EFC that we then get the association to do and hope that they kind of filter it down.
Okay. So the initial setup, you guys played a massive part in what we know as professional MMA today. Safety-wise, all the testing that goes on, the list is quite long. When Batters Kutsia sent up the initial post, you know, it was kind of like do or die. That's it from MMASA. And then it kind of came up with a long list of allegations about people not being paid, and so the list went on. And then they started to incorporate Cannabis Expo. There were people talking about where you live personally, and like, for us, we kind of sitting there going like, but what does this have to do with anything that we're dealing with right now? We're talking about a sanctioning fee and a relationship between EFC and MMASA. Now you guys are starting to clutch at straws about where people are living and different businesses and
absolutely
stuff like
nothing to do with it.
Exactly.
You know?
So how do you deal with those sort of, what do we call them, like assumptions, allegations, or whatever?
Yeah. So that's what's amazing about this whole thing. People say, oh, what's going to happen next? I said, well, a rational person would never have got to this point in the first place. I would never have done what Batters has done to get, I would never be in this situation, you know? So I don't know what they're going to do next, because I would never have done the stupid things that they've done to get to this point. But that's exactly it. If you look at, there's so many problems with how they've conducted themselves. Specifically, I mean, if we want to play stuff by the book, then let's play it by their book. Okay, MMASA Constitution. They've got their constitution, they've got no right. It's got nothing to do with them, what we have with our suppliers. We have an agreement with a supplier, it's got nothing to do with them. They're not a debt collecting business on behalf of suppliers. And even, when I say suppliers, even officials has got nothing to do with them. If we owe an official money, that's between, if we have a payment agreement with an official, it's between us and that official. And they are now taking sides. We're also an MMASA member, and they're taking one other person's side over our side. So it's not they're not qualified for this. They're not supposed to be doing this. It's on their constitution. It's on their mandate. They've got nothing to do with that. So why are they getting involved in that side of it at all? Like you said, they're mentioning other stuff, other businesses. What's that got to do with anything? Got to do with these people? So it's outside. Even if you go, cool, let's follow the book. Let's follow their constitution. They're not following their own constitution. And even their own constitution, when there's dispute resolution, which they haven't followed that process. So they're not. They just. I don't know what they do. They're just literally acting completely out of their mandate, if you can even call it that. And then it's gone one step further, where Batters has been literally not only put on social media, which is bad enough. I mean, how does that? You're the head of an association. You're supposed to be attracting money to the sport, growing the sport, and then you go put negative stuff like that on social media. That's one thing. Then he goes and personally has emailed all of our partners. So he's emailed every single one of our partners, from Restonic to Betway to Supersport to all of them. You know, EFC is unsanctioned and unlicensed, so you've literally gone out of his way to do that. How does that benefit the sport? How does that bring in more money? All that does is try to take money away from EFC. How is that going to get the officials or the fighters paid faster, if that's what he claims that he's trying to do? EFC loses sponsors. It's in a worse position to pay people. It's literally counterproductive. I don't understand. If I was the head of an association that's supposed to grow the sport, and the biggest contributor and employer in the sport was having a cash flow crisis, I would come and sit with them and go, how can I help? Please, let me go through my phone book and see if I know anyone who might be interested in sponsoring or getting involved. I wouldn't do the opposite and go, let me go through your phone book and try bomb all of your contacts, which is what he's done. And it's inexcusable, and we can literally sue him for loss of revenue because he should never have done that, and we may well be. So that's within our legal right, which we reserve.
There were two sides to this whole scenario that we were looking at as MMA analysts, if you will. There was the way Bertus Kutsia went about handling the situation. So in my mind, I would have said, okay, assuming that there's been a bit of a payment problem for officials and sanctions, we've come this far in 2019, the last event is now 14th of December, let's speak to my team and say, okay guys, I understand if you need money directly, speak to Cairo, speak to whoever you deal with at the EFC and try and make some sort of plan. Let's see at the end of the year, let's January 18th have a meeting with the EFC and say, look, we haven't been paid for a year, what are we doing? That's the way I saw it. That would have made a lot more sense. So that was the first one. The second part is what they're saying is that they're not being paid. So is that true to the way that they're saying it? And like obviously they're saying nobody's been paid, which I don't think is 100% accurate. And you guys do have payment terms with certain individuals.
It's as simple as this. A couple of events back, sat with all the officials at the event and we said, guys, this is a situation, we've been doing this for 10 years with you, this year's tight on cash flow, this is what we're doing from an expansion point of view, this is what we're reinvesting in, plus Kwesi went under owing us millions of rands, okay, it's tough on our cash flow, if you are able to help us, we're having a discussion with you, would you be willing to assist us, work at the events with us to pay you later? Every single one of them said, yes, of course, you guys, thank you, you've built us this platform, we're in this together, thanks for being open and honest with us, and this is where we are. Cool. You can pay us later on. So every event, we have the same discussion with all of them. We say, guys, if you're unhappy about it, let us know. If you need money, please phone us, we can pay you, you know, so let us know, like phone us or anytime, and some of the officials are phoning and say, guys, please, need some cash this month, cool, pay the invoices. And that's what's been happening. Suddenly we get contacted by BAT to say, you have to pay all the officials immediately by this date and all of our sanction fees. And Bertus was the same. When we had the same discussion with Bertus, he said, cool, no, we're here for you. Obviously, don't stress, like you don't have to pay us $5,000. It's a small amount of money, but when we employ hundreds of people for events and there's hundreds of suppliers. So if we can save all those little pieces now, it makes a big difference. It all adds up. So we went to everyone we could. We didn't go to athletes and say, we're not going to pay your purse, because we said, cool, there's some things that we can't delay on payment and there's some things that maybe we can. So we engaged with our people like MMASA and like the officials said, are you happy to be delayed on payment? They said yes. We said, cool, thank you, we appreciate it, we're all in this together, let's keep going, let's keep with the vision. So that was the discussion. Bertus said, cool, we don't have to pay the sanctioning fees. Great, thank you. And the officials said, cool, we don't have to pay them. Cool, thank you. Next thing we get an email from Bertus, you must pay immediately all the fees and all the officials, otherwise we, not banning you or whatever, all that crap. It was like, so we said, no, actually, so we phoned the officials that we actually owe the money to, and they all said, no, we're on the same page. There's no issue, you don't have to pay us now, we're the same agreement. So I said, okay, just checking, because Bertus has just emailed us saying that we need to pay you today. And they said, no, you don't need to pay us today. We said, we're all fine. Okay? So we said to Bertus, let's have a meeting, because we have an arrangement. So let's get together and discuss it. And he bombed us back with a rude email going, pay it immediately, otherwise, I'm just like, fuck you, like whatever, So, whatever, we got busy and we just left it. And next thing we see on social media, and exactly the way you guys see it, same thing. It's like, so that is, again, the complete wrong way to handle a situation. It's not a good situation for us to be in. No one wants to be in this situation, obviously. We don't want to be owing officials money, obviously. But in a bad situation, in a tough situation, you get together with people, you come sit down and you go, okay guys, this is a story. I'm getting officials complaining to me, because they're not complaining to us. So maybe they are complaining to him. But then we don't know about that, so just phone us and say, guys, this is the story. These guys are unhappy about it. They don't want to complain to you for whatever reason. So, okay, cool. Oh, we didn't know. How are we supposed to know if no one's telling us anything? So, okay, then we can have that discussion. You don't go online on social media and do that, and then you don't go and email all of our partners and do that. So that's literally the worst way you could possibly handle it. And that's the issue we actually have with them now. We don't have an issue about, there's actually no issue about with the officials. There's no issue at all. The officials and us are on the same page. And we just have now an issue with MMASA because of the way they've handled the situation. There's 100 other ways that they could have handled this that would have been better. They took literally the worst potential route to do it.
As of, yesterday you guys had a sit down to chat, athletes, coaches, and people involved. What was the general outcome of what happened yesterday here at the PI?
The general consensus from, we've been speaking to many athletes, many trainers, many managers, and many officials. The general consensus is everyone is appalled at the way this has been handled, and not by an EFC point of view, but by MMASA. They can't believe what's happened. It's terrible for the sport. It's terrible for them. There's no benefit to it. So our feeling is that just must go. We're either gonna. Why would we choose to work with an association that does that? They're not trying to build the sport. They're doing the opposite. Why would we choose to work with those people? Why would we put money into that? We'd rather go and do it with someone else. We'd rather work with someone else. So we either are going to work with someone else, or MMASA can change. And it's my opinion would be Baptist must go, and they can retract their letters and issue an apology to EFC. And then cool, we can continue working with them potentially, But if not, I don't know. We can decide. We still may take legal action against them, still may against Baptist. We're still finding out who was involved in that. Was it just Baptist making those decisions, or was it more people involved? And if there's more of them, then they must all fall. That's the behaviour has been disgusting. It's been inexcusable, and we're not going to let this. We're not going to just stand back and laugh it off. It's not a, it's just, there's no, they think it's like, I don't know what they think it is. But we here, we do this all day, every day, and we have for 10 years, and we're not going to let some clowns like that mess it up.
There's a couple of pertinent questions that now come up from a fan's perspective now, wearing that sort of hat. I'm listening to what fans are saying, the questions we're getting asked. There were two major factors in here. The saddest part from MMASA's point of view, and my feeling is Baptist went kind of rogue, perhaps he has a hidden agenda. That's my personal feeling. A team was sent over to Bahrain that went to compete at their own cost. There were some MMASA officials that paid out of their own pockets to ensure that everybody got there, everybody had the insurances and that sort of stuff, with little to no support from guys like Baptist. And Baptist could see it chose that sort of time when we should be should be focusing on our South African team representing us. And it also seemed to be no coincidence that the biggest event of the year in what's been a well-documented tough year for the EFC, you're hitting out that uncertainty for ticket sales. Big names like Drickers came out and spoke up about it, about what he feels. So, for all of those things in mind, a lot of the questions is, and we can explain to people, but I think hearing it from your mouth might reassure some of the fans. EFC 83, regardless of what happens from here on, will the show go on?
Yeah, of course. With that, like I said earlier, there's no legal requirement to have a sanction. Literally, you can go host an MMA event tomorrow over there, as long as you abide by the general city laws and normal event laws, same as hosting a festival. You can have an event. You can have a Muay Thai event, you can have a tennis match, whatever you want to do. The only thing you can't do is boxing. That's governed by a boxing act. It's the only sport in South Africa that has its own act. So the threats and the saying that we're going to be not sanctioned and fighters are going to get banned and all that kind of pathetic stuff is literally completely unfounded and just, a waste of time and not true. So EFC 83 will take place, and we'll have all the same athletes competing, and we'll have all the same best officials working there. And whether that's under MMASA or whether it's under a new association or whether it's under no association and a soon to be formed association for next year, cool, either way. Either way, EFC We'll continue to put on the best fights, and we'll continue to have the highest safety standards and have the highest, best officials that we can.